My family stole my savings and then asked for more, so I filed a claim for them. The morning after our family barbecue, I noticed something strange. I was sipping my coffee, standing at the kitchen counter, scrolling through emails when the banking notification popped up. Account balance, $6.12. I blinked. Checked again. Refreshed. Once. Twice. A third time. Still $6.12. That had to be a mistake. Just yesterday, there had been over $18,000 in that account. I triple-checked it the night before I drove down for the reunion, just like I always do when traveling. I like to be prepared. I walked into the living room, phone in hand, trying to make sense of it. And there, lounging on the couch, was my brother Russell, sipping orange juice like it was just another sunny Sunday. His wife, Dana, sat next to him, barefoot, tapping away on her phone. I think there's something wrong with my account, I said aloud, more to myself than anyone. Dana snorted without looking up. We needed it more than you. I froze. What? Russell looked over at me, completely unfazed. Don't be dramatic, Claudia. We didn't steal it. I felt my throat tighten. You drained my account. It's not draining if we're planning to pay it back, Dana chimed in, shrugging. It's family money. Family money. As if that somehow changed the reality that over $18,000 of my hard-earned savings was gone. My fingers trembled around my phone as I opened my bag, my keys clinking softly. Then you won't mind what's coming next. They laughed. Laughed. Then a loud bang rattled the house, the screen door slamming in the wind, and nobody even flinched. Dana got up, headed to the kitchen, popped open a beer, and leaned casually against the fridge. You're seriously this upset? She asked, eyebrows raised. Relax. We were behind on rent. Groceries. Russell's car broke down. We didn't blow it on nonsense. You didn't ask, I said, still stunned. Russell waved his hand. We didn't think we had to. You've always helped. What's the difference if it's through you or from you? That was the moment it sank in. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a misunderstanding. They did this intentionally. Deliberately. And they weren't sorry. My father sat across the room, knitting, a hobby he'd taken up in retirement. He didn't even look up. Dad, I said, louder this time, did you know about this? He sighed, like I'd interrupted something trivial. You've always been the one who's stable, honey. No mortgage. No kids. You've got a good job. You're fine. So that justifies stealing from me? Language, my mother murmured, eyes still glued to her phone. I turned to Russell again, voice sharper now. How did you even get my banking info? You left your login open on the family computer last Christmas. Maybe don't do that next time. He said it with zero guilt, like it was the weather. Honestly, Dana added, it's kind of your fault. You make it so easy. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My hands curled into fists. My breath had gone shallow. They were acting like I was the one being unreasonable, like I had broken some unspoken rule by finally calling out the way they'd been using me for years. You're making this a bigger deal than it is, Dana said. We didn't waste the money. We just survived. But you didn't ask, I repeated. Russell snapped, we didn't think we had to. You've been paying for stuff for years, birthday gifts, takeout, school clothes. Why does it matter now? Because it had never been all of it before. Because there was always a conversation. Or at least, a half-hearted attempt at one. I slung my bag over my shoulder. No one moved. No one tried to stop me. No apology. Not even an ounce of shame. You're leaving already? Dad asked. Yep. I zipped my coat. But don't worry. I'll be in touch. Russell rolled his eyes. Come on, Claudia. We needed it more than you. That's just facts. I reached for the doorknob. Paused. Looked over my shoulder. Then you won't mind what's coming next. They didn't respond. They just went back to their drinks, their phones, their lives, like they hadn't just stripped me bare. Outside, the air was colder than I expected. And quieter. I walked to my car, fists clenched, jaw tight, trying to stop the shaking. You okay? I turned to see my cousin Elliot catching up to me, hands in his hoodie pockets, concern in his eyes. No, I muttered, yanking open the car door. I heard what Russell said, he said, stepping closer. That wasn't right. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. If I opened my mouth, I'd scream. This wasn't the first time. Russell had missed a rent payment 4 years ago. I helped. Dana lost her job shortly after. I sent some cash to get them through the month. Then their son's birthday came around, and I covered the whole thing. Except I didn't offer to. They just assumed I would. And every time, they dressed it up in gilt-laced ribbons. You're lucky. You don't have the struggles we do. God gave you abundance so you could share it. And slowly, year by year, I stopped being Claudia, sister, daughter, person, and became the family ATM. Reliable. Quiet. Always good for it. When I was laid off for 6 months, I didn't ask anyone for a cent. I lived off oatmeal and canned soup, skipped trips, missed birthdays. I rebuilt everything by myself. When I paid off Russell and Dana's credit card debt 2 years ago, they didn't even say thank you. So when Russell asked me last week if I'd be coming to the reunion, I should have known. Of course, I said. Should I bring anything? His reply. Just bring yourself. And maybe your debit card. I thought he was joking. Now I know he wasn't. 2 days after I left the reunion, the call started. Russell was first. I didn't answer. Then he called again. And again. Next came Dana. Then a message. Just call him. He's losing it. I ignored that one too. Until the 5th call. Curiosity got the better of me. Or maybe it was something else, a small, flickering hope that I'd hear regret in his voice. Claudia, he started immediately, his voice low, strained. We have a problem. We do? I said, flat. Something happened. I stayed quiet. The electric company came today. We're behind on the bill, way behind. They're saying if we don't pay by Monday, they're cutting us off. He paused. So, we need your help. I let out a short, dry laugh. You drained my savings. And now you're asking for more? It wasn't just for us. Russell's tone sharpened, like I was the unreasonable one. We helped Mom and Dad too. Mom's car broke down, remember? No one told me, I said. Because you all know I would have said no unless it was an emergency. Claudia, he sighed, you're blowing this out of proportion. No, Russell. This isn't just selfish. It's criminal. You're making it sound worse than it is. It's family. You didn't ask. We didn't think you'd mind. You've always helped. That's what you do, right? And there it was again. That's what you do. Not who you are. Not what you feel. Just what you're good for. That night, I barely slept. I stared at the ceiling of my small apartment, going back over every moment, every time I said yes when I should have paused, every time I swallowed frustration and told myself, it's just one more time. But it was never one more time. I thought of the time I paid off their overdue internet bill. Russell had forgotten about it. The laptop I bought Dana when she said she wanted to go back to school. The months I covered groceries when their bridge job turned out to be seasonal. It was never alone. It was never temporary. It was never appreciated. It was expected. 3 days later, Dad called. We need to talk, he said, like it was me who'd done something wrong. He didn't ask how I was. Didn't ask about my job. Didn't ask about the missing money. We're having a family dinner tonight. Just us. You should come. My stomach tightened. What's this really about? Claudia, you've caused a lot of tension, he said, his voice suddenly wearied. Tension. Still, I went. I needed to see it with my own eyes. If they were sorry, they'd show it. And if they weren't, I'd know that too. When I walked into their house, it was like nothing had happened. Russell was leaning against the kitchen counter, arms folded. Dana was sitting at the table, looking at her nails. Dad was setting plates at the dinner table, clattering them just a little louder than necessary. Mom sat on the couch flipping through a catalog. No one looked nervous. No one looked guilty. So, Russell said as I took a seat, are we gonna be adults about this or what? That depends, I said. Are you ready to admit what you did? He scoffed. We didn't do anything illegal. It was family money. You always help. We needed it. Dana nodded. You can afford it, Claudia. We all know that. I stared at them. I didn't give permission. You didn't say no either, Russell mumbled. Because I didn't even know, I said, turning to Dad. And you're okay with this? He wouldn't meet my eyes. We all agreed. You've always been the one who could handle things. You mean no one even thought to ask? We trusted you, Mom said softly. Trusted that you'd do what's right. I stood up slowly, pulled a folder out of my bag, and laid it on the table. Then what's right, I said, is showing you what you actually spent. Inside was a detailed spreadsheet. Printed, color-coded, every cent accounted for. I'd spent 2 nights compiling it. $84 at a salon, $912 on restaurant takeout, $2,100 toward your car loan. Dana didn't think I'd check. Dana's eyes narrowed. You looked at our accounts? I did more than that, I said, opening my laptop. The screen lit up, pie charts, line items, dates. I turned it so they could see. I filed a fraud report. I've been working with the bank. And this morning, they got back to me. Russell's face went pale. You didn't. I did. You called the cops, he barked. I looked directly at Dad. Still think this is a family issue? This is too far, Mom snapped. You're going to ruin your own brother's life over a misunderstanding? I stared at her. He took over $18,000 from me. That's not a misunderstanding. That's theft. Stop saying that word. Russell shouted. It was for the family. Then you won't mind when the family deals with the consequences. Dana stood. What does that mean? I didn't answer. Not yet. That evening, I got a call from Elliot, the cousin who caught me outside after the reunion. Hey, he said, I don't know what happened exactly, but I'm proud of you. It's about time someone stood up. His words caught me off guard. I wasn't used to hearing that. The next day, I got a voicemail from Mom. You've embarrassed us. People are starting to talk. Please, Claudia. Let's fix this like family. But they didn't want to fix it. They wanted me to sweep it under the rug again. I stayed quiet. Focused on work. Breathed easier with every day that passed. Until the knock came. 3 loud, firm raps at the front door. 3 knocks. Steady. Solid. Final. I knew what it was the moment I heard it. Inside, the room froze. Dana looked toward the door, eyebrows pinched. Russell shifted his weight from one foot to the other, as if bracing for impact. Mom turned down the TV. Dad set down a serving spoon with a clink that echoed too loud. Then the voice followed. Financial Crimes Unit. Open the door, please. Dana turned toward me, voice low and uncertain. Claudia, tell me you're not serious. I stood calmly and walked over. 3 agents stepped into the house as soon as I opened the door. They were polite but direct, dressed in dark jackets with their division's insignia stitched on the chest. One carried a clipboard, one held a tablet, and the third scanned the room with quiet attention. Are you Claudia Mercer? Yes. Thank you for your cooperation. We'll take it from here. Russell looked like all the color had drained from his face. He dropped into a dining chair like someone had pulled a lever. Dana remained standing but stiffened, her grip tightening around the back of a chair. Dad was already seated at the table, hands now folded together, eyes glued to the salt shaker. One agent spoke evenly. You are all listed as parties of interest in an ongoing investigation into financial fraud and identity theft. Identity theft? Dad choked. That's our daughter. The agent didn't blink. Family ties do not excuse illegal actions, sir. We didn't steal anything, Russell said quickly. She helped us. She's always helped us. We thought. Thinking you're entitled to someone's money doesn't make it yours, the second agent said, without raising her voice. Please remain seated while we ask you a few questions. I stepped back and let them do their work. For the first time in my life, they didn't talk over me. They didn't smirk or laugh or act like I was being ridiculous. Dad turned to me slowly, tears already building in his eyes. Claudia, please. We didn't mean to hurt you. We were just desperate. You've always been the strong one. The one we could rely on. I met his eyes. You don't get to cry now. He covered his mouth, overwhelmed. Russell opened his mouth like he was about to speak, but no words came out. Dana looked at the floor and didn't move. One of the agents stepped toward them again. We'll ask you to refrain from using your phones or any electronic devices while we begin reviewing statements. I turned to the lead agent. I'll wait outside. He nodded. You're free to go, Miss Mercer. And that was it. I stepped out onto the porch. No one followed me. No one shouted my name. No last-minute, tearful apologies or panicked pleas. For once, it was quiet. Really quiet. I sat in my car for a while before driving. No destination, just the road. Past gas stations, convenience stores glowing in the night, drive-through menus lit like neon promises. My phone buzzed in the cup holder. Then again. And again. I didn't answer. I wasn't ready to hear apologies dressed up as excuses. By midnight, I found myself outside my grandfather's old house. He'd left it to a cousin, but I still had a key. I never told anyone I kept it. He used to say, "If they ever stop seeing you, Claudia, really seeing you, come here. The door will know who you are." And he was right. I walked in and shut the door behind me. No noise. No drama. No guilt. I slept for 10 hours straight. Woke up to the sound of birds outside the window, made coffee in a mug with a chipped edge, and watched the light change across the backyard garden my grandfather used to keep. I breathed. Deep. Full. Without the tight knot in my chest. But the silence didn't last. The first message came from Mom. "You've gone too far. This is humiliating. What happened to family loyalty?" I deleted it. Then Russell. They froze my accounts. Dana's being questioned at her job. "You ruined our lives over a few payments." Few payments. Try dozens. Try nearly 2 decades of quiet giving. Then Dad left a voicemail. His voice was soft, almost unrecognizable. "Sweetheart, we could have handled this like a family. Now they're threatening charges. They're talking about taking the house." I played that line over and over. Take the house. And I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even hurt. I just didn't care. Because they'd already taken mine. Years ago, when they decided I was more useful as a resource than as a daughter or sister. 2 days later, I received a message from someone unexpected, Dana's younger sister, Lillian. We'd only spoken a handful of times at family gatherings. Her message was short. "Just so you know, Russell's trying to say you knew and approved the transfers. His lawyer is backing it. Be careful." Even now, even with everything unraveling, he was still trying to rewrite the truth. That night, I contacted my attorney. "Send everything," I said. "And let's include a formal request for a restraining order. I don't want any of them near me again." Not every message that week was ugly. One morning, I opened my inbox and found a short email from Nathan, Dana's brother. Subject, "Just to say thank you. I know we haven't talked much. But I saw what happened. And I just wanted you to know you were right. You've always been right. I thought you were cold. Now I think you were just the only one brave enough to stop pretending." I read his words 3 times. Brave. No one in my family had ever called me that. And then came the call I didn't expect. Unknown number. I almost declined it. But something in me said, "Take it." "Claudia?" The voice was quiet. Raspy. "It's Russell." I said nothing. "I know I messed up. Okay? I know it now. But please, you don't have to do this. Dana's been suspended. Mom won't even speak to me. Dad's heart medication got changed again because of the stress, and..." He paused. "You always had the power to ruin everything. And you finally did." That sentence sat there, heavy. I took a deep breath. "I didn't ruin anything," I said. "I just stopped letting you walk all over me." He was quiet. Then. "Can you just stop it now? Drop the charges. Please. I'll do anything. Just make it go away." I paused for a moment, almost waiting for my heart to soften. But it didn't. I remembered that night. His laugh. Dana's smirk. Dad brushing it off. "You don't need the money." And I smiled, not kindly. "You made this mess," I said. "You live in it." And I hung up. That night, I made pasta for one. Played a playlist I hadn't listened to since college. Lit a candle. Sat on the porch with a hot mug in hand and watched the moon climb slowly over the hills. No one asked me for anything. No one guilted me. No one implied that my worth was tied to what I gave. And for the first time in years, I felt whole. Weeks passed. The silence became routine. It no longer felt like loneliness, it felt like clarity. No one called to check in. No one sent me thinly veiled guilt trips disguised as concern. And for the first time in my adult life, I didn't feel obligated to answer to anyone. Then one morning, a letter arrived. No return address. Inside was a check for $1,200 and a handwritten note. Claudia. I left Dana. I couldn't keep defending it. Watching what you did, it gave me the courage to stop pretending too. This check doesn't cover everything, but it's for the rent, the groceries, and that tablet you gave to Elijah. She never thanked you. But I will. Thank you for being the example I needed. Nathan. I read it once. Then again. And again. I cried, not out of sadness, not from pain. But because someone had finally seen me. Not as the bank. Not as the fallback. But as a person. People sometimes ask me now, do you regret it? And I say this. No. I don't regret taking action. I regret waiting so long. I regret every sleepless night I spent wondering how I'd make my bills work after covering theirs. I regret every cancelled vacation, every skipped meal, every job I turned down because I was too emotionally drained to try for something better. I regret all the times I gave so much that I forgot I was allowed to keep something for myself. But I don't regret the line I drew. I don't regret protecting myself. I don't regret walking away. My therapist once asked me, why did it take you so long to say no? And I said, because I thought saying no meant I didn't love them. She nodded and replied, saying no is how you teach people to love you in return. That has stayed with me. I moved. New apartment. New state. New everything. No surprise visits. No mailboxes full of guilt. No unexpected bills from relatives who forgot to tell me they used my card. I changed my number. Gave it to only 5 people. I started showing up to work more present, more focused, and for the first time in years, my boss pulled me aside and said, you've really stepped up. We'd like to promote you. I said yes. It turns out, when you're not carrying 4 people's lives on your back, your own life gets lighter. I eat better now. Sleep deeper. I take walks in the evening just because I want to, not because I need space from the chaos inside my own home. I breathe easier. One afternoon, I ran into someone from college. We hadn't spoken in years, but she stopped me at the coffee shop and said, hey, I saw that thing with your family. That's intense. I nodded, expecting her to frown or whisper some awkward version of sympathy. But instead, she smiled. Good for you, she said. Most people never get out. And that hit me harder than anything. Because it was true. Most people never get out. As far as I know, Russell and Dana are still under investigation. Last I heard, Dana had lost her job. Russell's accounts remained frozen. Dad was trying to refinance the house. Mom blamed outside influence for the family falling apart. They still didn't get it. I didn't break the family. I stopped pretending it was whole. Sometimes I think about that night, the one at the reunion. I see the table. Russell laughing. Dana with that smirk. Dad brushing it all off. You don't need the money, he said. But that money, it wasn't just bills and balances. It was my time. My energy. My health. My sense of self. And they spent it like it cost them nothing. Now they're paying the price. I don't cheer for their downfall. But I do celebrate my survival. I celebrate every quiet morning. Every uninterrupted evening. Every month where I get to keep everything I earned. No guilt. No strings. No apologies that come too late. If you're reading this, and you've been the strong one, the responsible one, the good son or daughter, the one who's supposed to give without ever asking for anything in return. Let me say this. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You're allowed to stop. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to walk away. And when you do, you don't lose your family. You find yourself. Thank you for watching the video, like it if you watched the video to the end and don't forget to subscribe. Have a nice day.